the crisis, the water crisis. Indeed, it is a water crisis. Spending sleepless nights trying to find ways on how best that can be managed, how best that can be solved. So allow me to go into the details of what we are doing, what we have been doing, the challenges we are facing, and so what, the way forward as suggested. So ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by thanking the organizers of this meeting because it gives us an opportunity to explain our position as council and set the record straight on some of the issues. Some of us become emotional when we talk about this issue. It is an open secret that currently this year, had a drought situation. The water problems have been compounded by the harsh economic environment that we are all experiencing. We are living in desperate times as far as water provision is concerned. We have called on government to declare the water situation in the city a national disaster. This is my third time saying this statement. A statement of appealing, a statement of dialoguing, a statement of lobbying, a statement of advocacy, that if it is declared a national disaster, it means a lot in terms of programs of action which can be put in place both by the city and at national level by the government. Because the situation has become desperate and thought the declaration will enable donors and the international community to rein in, marshal, and mobilize the resources so as to salvage the situation. Our water demand stands at around 1,200 megaliters a day against a combined design capacity of not more than 704 megaliters a day at Morton Jaffray waterworks. Please remember, this is the largest water treatment plant in the city. This was built in the 1950s when the city was still small, intending to save around 300 to 500,000 people. We should also take note that the dam itself was first constructed as a recreational facility, and the construction of water treatment plant was an afterthought. We are currently not able to produce water equivalent to design capacity. We are managing an average of 300 megaliters a day, hardly enough water to satisfy the population of Harare. The available sources in Chiwero and Manyame are heavily polluted, implying that the water in 2 lakes is expensive to treat. Our water is heavily polluted, hence the high production costs. The pollution of the 2 lakes is largely because Harare is situated at the starting point of most rivers that feed into the lakes, and all the pollution from human activities naturally flow into these lakes. These activities are both domestic and commercial. We now require in excess of RTGS, that is 40 million every month for chemicals to treat our water, against a global revenue collection averaging 15 million. A serious dilemma, eh? A serious dilemma. In short, our collections are not anywhere near levels to satisfy our water treatment bill. Our various customers owe the city nearly 1 billion now. 1 billion. Our infrastructure is now old and we are losing too much treated water from pests. You will recall that a few years ago we received a loan of 144 million from China Exim Bank. Half of that money was meant for rehabilitation of Morton Jaffray's waterworks plant, while the other half was for the distribution network. But this far, we have only received 72 million. And the other half is yet to come, if it is to come. We need to repair the old infrastructure so that we cut the Oninani revenue water and that at least some get into the people's homes. We have repeatedly said our water bodies are inadequate and cannot meet demand. So far, Seke and Harare dams have dried up and have since been decommissioned. We have since decommissioned Prince Edward water treatment plant. And from this plant, we used to get 95 megaliters per day, but it has since been decommissioned. On Lake Chivero is the only one left with the obstruction point. Fish have found a home in that section because water in that part of the lake is relatively habitable by aquatic life. As a result, when we obstruct water, fish are finding their way into the treatment plant and in the process blocking clarifiers. We periodically have to stop treatment to clear the fish. Treatment hours are therefore lost. More so, water levels in the dams are receding at alarming levels, compounded by the situation from agricultural and other activities and the river top. As stopgap measures, we have started working with the District Development Fund to drill boreholes in selected high-density suburbs, and Council has since procured 14 500-liter bowsers that are still under fabrication here in Harare as short-term measures, that is, as short-term measures. We expect deployment of these bowsers in the next 2 weeks, if all goes well. The long-lasting solution is the construction of new water sources. We have repeatedly and will continue to appeal to the government, the authority that is responsible, of course, for the construction of these water sources, because it is a responsibility which is above the city of Harare as a local authority. Hence, the construction of Kunji, Musami, and Mazoe dams must get priority if we are to get and provide a permanent solution to this water crisis. In the absence of these facilities, our fears are that Harare may soon run dry. We are aware that because we are in a drought season, even the boreholes that we drilled and some which we are drilling may soon dry up as well because the water table is now stressed. Council has plans to build 2 new wastewater plants with a view to establishing recycling plants that would invariably increase water availability. In other countries, they have long adopted this mechanism. But because as a seat of Harare or local authorities in the country, we have been living from hand to mouth, making it difficult to embark on massive capital projects. But it's a project now on the cards which, if resources permitting, it will go a long way in alleviating and save water. We are encouraging sister local authorities around Harare to treat their wastewater before discharging into Lake Chiwero and Manyame. These should also have their own water sources and treatment plants. This would reduce the burden on the city of Harare, that is, which is currently supplying water to over 5 million, or 4.5, which is day population. Harare has become to be known as having a day population and a night population as of Zimstad's census 2012. Harare is supplying water to Chitungwiza, supplying water to Norton, supplying water to Rua, supplying water to Epworth. But if these dormitory towns, cities, do develop their own new sources of water, we are saying as city of Harare, the burden is reduced. And the residents of Harare in particular would have closer to enough water. I call upon the residents, therefore, to conserve the little water that comes their way, whether it is council or borehole water. We need to use our water sparingly. We understand that because tap water is in short supply, some residents are using shallow open wells. That water requires pre-treatment before consumption. All our clinics are dispensing aqua tablets. Residents are free to collect for free those tablets that they may have to apply to their water before they drink. Ladies and gentlemen, you will recall that several months back we set up a committee to engage central government over new water sources. This is an emergency, and we feel that government should fulfill its obligations to ensure that our residents get water. The issue of Kunzi Dam has been spoken about numerous times before some of you were even born. Yeah, I can see some faces which were not yet born by then, when the talk of constructing Kunzi Dam started. The diagrams and everything else relating to the construction of these dams I'm talking about are already there. They were done long back before independence. But up to now, we are yet to construct these dams. If these dams are constructed, the combined total water supply will get to 1,400 megaliters per day. Yet we have said currently the demand is 1,200 megaliters per day. So you can imagine if it takes more than 5 years to put these facilities in place, the population will still be growing again. And therefore, you can imagine of the gap which will still be there by the time the completion of these dams is done. So the need to treat this matter as a matter of urgency and prioritize the construction of these new water sources. On a brighter side, though, we are, however, happy that our engagements with the government has yielded positive direction to include Kunzi Dam on its 2020 budget. We hope it will finally come to fruition.
Crisis is hitting those that are below 35. That's why even in my song, I had to say, the preliminary findings from the assessment that we are doing, we've seen that those that are affected by typhoid and cholera, majority of them are below 35, and they are women. We will share the contents of the documents. And after what they call a vulnerability assessment. So the research that we are doing is contributing towards that assessment. And we actually pained that we have not seen those from the Civil Protection Unit because we wrote letters to them. We invited them. We invited Zinwa on this platform. We invited Upper Manyame on this platform to come on board and reason together. We agree that going forward, we don't need to finger point. We need to come up with short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions to the crisis on water service delivery. We agree.
But what we are saying is that we need to admit, maybe as a nation, and our authorities as well, that we don't have the capacity to address the current crisis. And it is an emergency because lives need to be saved. Already people are losing lives. In Chishanje Mavuku, on Saturday, vanhu vakatotorwa nema-ambulance nenyaya ye-typhoid. And this is just one suburb I'm talking about, but it's happening in many suburbs. Talk of
not only to doubles Mazwari to you are Tan Mazwari to Zatu, one Monday, with a Mazwata to Sinam, one and that. So to the name, my pipes, I got for to Famba name, the Maridel. To it was going to access a young braille, the 10. Yahweh and Braille needs a little it's no pressure. At times, I don't know, probably Braille Tiaga Chena, but choose it to one brain sludge. With 30 minutes, Braille said to me somebody to ask. To my garden, my garden. So I think so we should declare this one a disaster because otherwise, farmers will come rain season. Tingetani, America, location address of North Kingsdale. I'm building plan that of Chiwan, at the zoo to Brazil, I want to one apart. So I think it's a
aibude pese pese enda isina timetable sekutanga but mabudire mvura inenge yakasviba ichitonwa sewage kuti aukwanise kana utoise maplates saka zvakadii time inenge isina mushonga yovharwa zvayo ngozi tikutongoisa mabhaketi nebhaketi achindanenge rakutorwa yoraswa. Chimwe chikumbiro ndechemarara, mabhowls edu takacherwa mumabani, saka kanzi yedu haisi kutakura marara. saka mapamba nemarara zvikunorasika mumasaidhi emabhoo tomwa futi mvura yayi tsvina yayi iri kudzoka futi mabhows. Saka chikumbiro kuti tikatakurwa marara tina mvura yepatepi tinogona kubatsirika kumabhoo edu mazvitenga
maita basa dambudziko remvura tinaro but isusu kwedu manje takapiwa mabohos pane madhona akatiisira mabohos saka mabohos aitaita dambudziko zvakare rekuti kanzu yakumana futi mabohos iwayo kuti tisachere mvura patinofanira kuchera akatoitwa zvakanaka zvinotaurwa neavo kuti akaiswa mateps saka pane maresidents akakontributa kuti patengwe mateps patengwe matengi ekuti mvura yacho inyatsotritwa zvakanaka asi vekanzuro vakabva vaisa vanhu vavo zvakare vanochengeta ipapo zvokuti anokiwa mabohos iwayo matepi iwayo vanhu vopiwa time dzekuti munouya kuzocherana 10 o'clock kana kuti munouya kuzocherana 3 o'clock ndo paanovhurwa apa pese anenge akavharwa which means vanoshanda vaya havasi kuwana access yekuti vachere mvura pamabohos ipapo pavanodaro pacho ipapo tinozviziva kuti vanoti anozofa takaudzwa kunzi toda kuti agozoripewa tinoda kuti patengwe mishonga yekupota ichipurify mvura yacho nekuti kana afa agadzirwe